The digital clock on my nightstand read 3:47 a.m. when I first heard it. A persistent, aggressive banging that shattered the pre-dawn silence like a sledgehammer through glass. I jolted upright in bed, my heart hammering against my rib cage as my brain struggled to process what was happening. Next to me, both Rex and Luna were already on their feet, their ears perked forward in perfect synchronization. My two German shepherds, trained protection dogs that I'd worked with for the past 3 years, stood rigid at the foot of the bed. A low, rumbling growl emanated from Rex's chest, a sound that would make any rational person reconsider their life choices. "Easy," I whispered, swinging my legs out of bed and grabbing my phone. The banging continued, now accompanied by a shrill voice that cut through the walls of my suburban home like nails on a chalkboard. "Open this door. I know you're in there." I checked my security camera app, and my jaw dropped. Standing on my front porch, illuminated by the motion sensor lights, was Patricia Henderson, the HOA president of our Maple Ridge community. She was wearing a purple velour tracksuit that looked like it had survived the early 2000s, her blonde hair in rollers, and she was holding what appeared to be a ring of keys in one hand, while using her other hand to pound on my door with the fury of someone who had completely lost touch with reality. "You gotta be kidding me," I muttered, pulling on my robe and slippers. Rex and Luna followed me down the stairs, their nails clicking against the hardwood floor in an ominous rhythm. The pounding intensified. Then I heard it, the unmistakable sound of a foot connecting with my door. Patricia Henderson, HOA president. "I'm coming in." "The hell you are," I said under my breath, quickening my pace. I reached the door just as I heard the jingle of keys and the scraping sound of someone attempting to insert a key into my lock. My blood ran cold, then immediately boiled. "Stop right there." I shouted through the door. "This is private property. You have no right to enter my home." "I have every right." Patricia shrieked back. "As HOA president, I have a master key to every property in this community. It's in the bylaws. That's not how any of this works." I yelled back, pulling out my phone to start recording. "And you're about to find out exactly why breaking into someone's home at 4 a.m. is a terrible idea." I could hear her fumbling with the lock, cursing under her breath. Rex and Luna positioned themselves in front of the door, their bodies tense and ready. These weren't pets. They were highly trained detection dogs, certified and registered, and they knew exactly what their job was. "I'm warning you, Patricia." I called out one more time. "I have 2 protection dogs in here, and if you manage to get that door open, you're going to have a very bad morning. Your dogs are a violation of Section 14, Paragraph 3 of the HOA guidelines," she screeched. "Pets over 50 pounds require special approval, which you never obtained. I'm here to document a violation and issue an immediate fine of $5,000. My mind reeled. I'd lived in this house for 2 years. Rex and Luna were registered emotional support and protection animals. I had all the paperwork, all the proper documentation, and I'd submitted everything to the HOA when I first moved in. This was insanity. "Patricia, I have all the proper documentation. I submitted it 2 years ago. And even if I didn't, you can't just break into someone's house at 4 a.m. The emergency clause of our HOA agreement states that I can conduct inspections at any time if there's a suspected violation that poses an immediate threat to the community." She was really trying to force the key now. "Your dogs have been barking. They haven't made a sound until you started attacking my door." That's when I heard it, the click of the lock turning. My stomach dropped. She'd actually managed to get a key that worked, or at least partially worked. The doorknob began to turn. "Final warning, Patricia." I shouted, positioning myself behind Rex and Luna. "I'm armed with protection dogs, and I have every legal right to defend my home. You're committing breaking and entering." But Patricia Henderson was beyond reason. The door swung open. What happened next occurred in about 3 seconds, but felt like slow motion. Patricia stepped into my doorway, her face contorted in triumphant rage. Her mouth open to deliver what I'm sure would have been another scream declaration of HOA authority. Then she saw them. Rex and Luna stood side by side, about 10 feet from the door, their bodies coiled like springs. They didn't charge. They were too well trained for that. But they released a barking symphony that sounded like the gates of hell had opened up in my foyer. The sound was absolutely deafening, a wall of noise that seemed to physically push Patricia backward. Her face went from victorious pink to ghost white in an instant. The keys dropped from her hand with a clatter. Her mouth opened in a silent scream. Or maybe she was screaming, but I couldn't hear it over the dogs. Call them off. Call them off. She was backing up onto the porch, stumbling over her own feet. Stay, I commanded, and both dogs immediately stopped barking and sat, though they kept their eyes locked on Patricia with an intensity that could melt steel. Now, Patricia, let's talk about what just happened here. Your dogs, those monsters attacked me. No, they didn't, I said calmly, my phone still recording everything. They barked. They didn't advance, didn't bite, didn't even leave their position. They did exactly what they're trained to do when someone breaks into our home, which is what you just did. Patricia was shaking now, whether from fear or rage or both. I have the authority. You have no authority to enter my home without permission, with or without a key. What you just did is called breaking and entering, and I have it all on camera, both security footage and this recording. You kicked my door, forced entry with an unauthorized key, and entered my private residence at 4 a.m. The HOA is not law enforcement. You're not a police officer. You have zero legal right to enter anyone's home without their explicit permission, and even if there were some buried clause in the HOA agreement, which I seriously doubt, it wouldn't override state and federal law. I could see the realization dawning on her face. The adrenaline was wearing off, and reality was setting in. I want you off my property now, I said firmly. And tomorrow morning, I'll be contacting my attorney, the police, and the HOA board to file formal complaints. You'll also be receiving an invoice for my door, which you damaged, and for the locksmith I'm going to have to call to change my locks, since you apparently have a key that works. This isn't over, Patricia said, but her voice had lost all its venom. She looked small now, ridiculous in her tracksuit and rollers. You're right, I replied. It's not, because I'm going to make absolutely sure that every single member of this HOA knows exactly what you did tonight. Now get off my porch before I call the police right now, instead of waiting until morning. Patricia retreated to her car, a white sedan parked haphazardly across my driveway, and drove off into the darkness. I closed and locked my door, then slid down to the floor, suddenly exhausted.